Welcome to Discuss With Us podcast, where we are unpacking the world through a Christian lens. I am your host, Darcy Durkowski, along with my husband, Brian, and our intention is to pose topics, trending and otherwise, and unpack them with the help of some research, insights from our different backgrounds, and even some listener input in a way that is thought-provoking and entertaining. So get comfortable, grab your favorite beverage, and discuss with us.
Welcome back to another episode of Discuss With Us. In studio for the second time returning, Aaron Boer.
Oh, hey, thanks, Brian. Great to be back.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm well, man. How are you?
We got Aaron, we got Darce on the ones and twos. Got a little trio going for you this week.
Yes.
We are going to talk about, this is a fun topic, we're going to talk about gardening again. We're in the midst of June. Your tomatoes are coming in, maybe some of your other plants as well.
Yeah.
And just kind of wanted to talk with Aaron. He's ironically not a seasoned gardener, but he is a seasoned cook and has, how much weight have you lost?
Like 80 pounds?
80 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. Total transformation. It's been one of my best friends since fifth grade, and I have to double take when I see him sometimes. So kudos to you. You've done a fantastic job, and I believe this is going to be awkward if I'm wrong. It's clean eating, right?
Yeah, whatever that means. But yeah.
Which, if any of you listen to Lent, I did try to partake in that for Lent.
You didn't try. You did.
Yeah, I did for a while, and then I just stopped.
How long did you do it for?
Almost.
The entire Lent.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dropped 15 then at that point, and
What was funny is he dropped it really quickly.
Yeah,
within the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, my whole life kind of changed.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for what I guess toxins were in you that you just stop having certain things, but it was an experience for sure. But you and Rachel, your wife, y'all have been doing it for a while now, right?
Yeah. No, we've been on the Lent diet for 8 months now, 9 months.
Hey, that's the better way to do it.
Okay, so you said 8-9 months. So you've lost that much weight in that amount of time?
I mean, I guess it's really 11.
Okay.
11 months. So
Close to a year.
July
That's still
of last year. Yeah.
an extremely significant amount of weight.
So
Looks good on y'all, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, no, fantastic. And it's kind of what spurred me to call you the other day and say, hey, I am brainstorming for a topic. Would you like to talk about kind of like a hybrid? So we're starting to bring in vegetables. Vegetables are a key part
We've been bringing in vegetables.
Yeah, more than we can eat.
Yeah.
Mainly tomatoes because of all the rain this year. But more...
And Brian overplanting.
Yeah. Hey,
we'll get into that in lessons learned.
But kind of wanted to talk about what do we do with all these vegetables now before they go bad, besides just giving them away. And the tried and true way is to cut them up and fry them, but that may not always be the healthiest way. And beyond just the normal canning tricks that your grandma may have taught you, or freezing and vacuum sealing them, which is something we try to do with those. Aaron is when did you get into cooking?
Boy, it's been a while. My guiding light in cooking, and probably the person that taught me everything that I know, was Alton Brown. Good Eats. When I would just watch Good Eats at night when I was a kid, and it was like Mr. Wizard meets a cooking show or whatever. So you get the science background and stuff. And so I'm interested in food, not just because sure.
But when do you think you got into it?
Oh, dude, young, 5th grade, 6th grade, maybe, elementary school probably.
Impressive.
See, that's weird. I don't remember. I went over to your house a lot.
I wasn't doing a lot of cooking back then, though,
I know.
I will say. I was mainly just watching the
interested.
shows.
Just
Yeah.
absorbing how to cook.
I mean, I think I was like, can I cook? And my parents were like, you'll make a mess. No.
That makes sense. But so when did you start cooking? College?
No, well, this is a funny story.
Okay.
So I used to actually get in trouble. I guess when
For cooking?
when your parents will leave the house or whatever,
Right.
and I guess most kids, some kids will throw a party or whatever. Not me, but
The same mess, though.
yeah. But I would cook something, and then my parents would get home, and they would be like, "You didn't wash these dishes good enough. You cooked, didn't you?" So I was like,
You tried to hide it?
yeah, secretly cook. Well, I was okay. I thought I was being considerate.
Did
Like
you
I'm
have
gonna
an
wash
easy
the
bake
dishes.
oven under your bed or something?
No, real thing.
little
Real
Bunsen
thing.
burner, one stove.
Like, oh man, I hope they do go to College Station for the afternoon so that I can try this recipe.
Hey, is there anything you need from Bass Pro, Dad?
You guys should go.
I saw they had a sale.
Yeah, but moving out on my own and being able to, and it's like, oh, I'm just gonna cook whatever
Like,
I
without
want,
getting in trouble?
and without fear of reprisal or any, like, so freeing. Like,
I can cook and not have to hide it anymore. Do you do most of the cooking for you and Rachel?
yeah, we had that agreement.
That was part of your conditions.
I was like, I will cook every meal if you wash the dishes, and she's like, in.
Ah,
Done.
see, you needed her back when you lived with your parents.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
If you'd just been around when I was in 7th grade, everything would have been fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did. I'll go through the vegetables. I don't remember if I listed that last time.
No, you didn't.
So we did several varieties of tomato, and not a one of them is like heirloom.
No, because those are boring.
I agree with you. So maybe one heirloom plant would have been nice, like a nice fat round tomato would have been nice. to
Cherokee
have.
purples, the best heirloom. Probably.
Okay.
We almost got a Cherokee purple. But
Okay,
I
I'll put
did
that
not
on
have
your
room
notes.
for. We got San Marzano, Roma, and Juliet.
Yeah.
Maybe too many San Marzanos, but
And too many Juliets. Because, okay, so we had never done any of those varieties before. So going into this kind of blind, not knowing, like, I don't know, what kind of production we would get out of
yeah.
the plant. I
Yeah,
know
didn't
when
what
we
the
had.
yield would be.
Yeah, yield. There you go. But the Juliets are, like, slightly bigger than a grape tomato. I think they've served us perfectly fine for what we intended, which
Yes.
was we eat a lot of salads, and we both like tomatoes. So
And I'm not a big cherry fan.
Yeah.
Cherry tomatoes never really do it for me. I do like grape tomatoes, so I thought Juliet would be
Yeah.
kind of up our alley.
And so I think we did probably 4 Juliets.
No, 3.
Is it 3?
3.
They're just massive.
Yeah.
And we could easily get by with 2.
You probably get by with 1.
Maybe
honestly,
1.
for how well they did this year, but
They did very well. And then our San Marzanos. Yeah, how many of those do we have? Like 4?
we have 4
Okay.
San Marzano and 4 Roma.
So I'll say that I think that we could have gotten by with 3 San Marzano, which is only 1 less than we have. But with those, you're cooking usually like marinaras and stuff, so you do need kind of a lot
Preserve those San Marzanos
Yes.
because they're $10
No,
for
that's-
a 28-ounce
Yeah.
can at the
That's
grocery
why
store.
I bought those.
Yeah.
And the only thing that did not, for some reason, come in my head is I have 3 kids. So just picking the tomatoes is a chore enough for Darcy, much less on a Saturday. Oh, and combine that with in Texas this year, we've been hit by, I don't know how many windstorms, but I have like 10 trees on the ground. So
Yeah.
the opportunity to sit on a
Spending the
Saturday
amount of
afternoon
time
and
gardening.
make marinara, which I love to make marinara. That's
Yeah.
why I bought all the San Marzanos. I was like, this will be great. We can
Yeah.
can some. We can make some marinara sauce, just make tomato sauce.
And I made some marinara out of them, and it was great. And it was very easy. I kept it very simple as far as the recipe went, and it was good. It was very good. The boys ate it.
Yeah.
which is
that's
shocking.
all you need to know.
Yeah. I will say, like, they were sweet. I didn't need to sweeten the marinara sauce as much because
Yeah.
they
Why
were a
that's why those
sweeter.
are
Yeah.
No, I know. So those
Aaron, do you
turned
want
out
any
really
San
well.
Marzano tomatoes?
Of course I want some San Marzano
Yeah.
tomatoes. I'm getting them. I got
That's your party favor for being a guest tonight.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, I think that seasonal eating can be kind of fun
Yeah, me and Darcy have talked about that a lot.
in like a
Yeah.
globalized supply
Yeah.
chain or whatever, where you have year-round growing seasons. Like, you're never not gonna get tomatoes at the grocery store.
Yeah.
But I think there's sort of something fun about being like, I'm gonna eat just all the tomatoes that I'm gonna eat in a year. I'm just gonna eat them in the summertime and
Right.
then not have them again until next summer.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
That-
kind of what we want to do, like as we transition into a fall garden and stuff. Is
and
change
get
it up.
better, get our soil better. So we have
Because that
we
helps
have
your
sandy
soil, too.
soil out
Yeah.
here, and so we are definitely year one. we're just breaking ground with it. We've
Yeah.
got compost going and just
Hopefully.
trying to see what works, what doesn't work. But I'm kind of with you. I told Darcy, look, I'm not an end of the world prepper or anything like that. But it's just in pioneer thinking, it's kind of cool to like, hey, you know what? Let's try it, because even we do have to buy stuff at the grocery store, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, hey, let's try to buy what's seasonal, even though I can buy a tomato all year. Like, let's try to just eat tomatoes in the spring, summer.
Yeah.
And what I would like to do though is preserve some of our, besides just the typical canning, which where you're having to load it down with a bunch of salts, like. We've even taken some where you just pureed the tomatoes and we just froze the bag.
Yeah, so that's what I did last time. I knew I wasn't going to have a lot of time, but I didn't want to let them all go bad, so I just prepped them and then froze them. Like I didn't add any ingredients. Just peeled them, cored them, and pureed them, and then froze them.
Yeah, that's great.
Am I going to want a tomato in December? Yes. But I do think it's kind of fun. And this will come up in the clean eating portion. Like, the more seasonal I think we eat, I think our bodies are made for that. I think when we start eating out of season, you can do it. I'm not saying it's bad for your body, but I think it will kind of help maybe even regulate some things in our body if we do more seasonal eating. Like, there's nothing wrong with eating potatoes, but we eat potatoes 12 months, 365 out of the year. And while those will keep for a long time, maybe if we eat in more...
just go along with the seasons.
Yeah.
It's more fun.
Yeah,
it
does.
is.
It makes eating... So
you get to look forward to things.
Our point with the boys is I was like, this could be fun for them and get them more into gardens. Like, oh, man, it's we're going to have onions coming up soon. Let's go pick them. Or like, hey, I've been really missing carrots. And the fall comes around and we start pulling carrots out. So, honestly, I thought San Marzano was going to be the hardest to grow. And I've been shocked by and they took off so much we didn't even have them. We didn't have them caged. We didn't have them strung up. I mean, it's been a struggle.
Is there a dormant volcano maybe on the property?
Possibly.
They grow.
Maybe.
Yeah. They grow pretty well in, I believe, ashy soil.
Well, we burn a lot of fire, so there's ash probably all over the place.
Yeah. But the lessons learned on the tomatoes is probably at least one less plant on each of those varieties. And then, we just were late in getting the support around them. Like, I don't know. We just thought we had more time, I think, and they blew up.
Well,
and
it
then
kept
we
raining.
also
That was the thing. It kept raining.
And we kept losing trees, like you said. So there was like other things in our, frontal lobe.
Yep.
Anyways, so that was the lessons learned on tomatoes, but they did very well. The other thing that I will say that I've done better with tomatoes this round as opposed to last time, which was at our other property, different thing, but I pick them as they just start to turn orange. That way and let them ripen on the counter. I've been better about that this year than I ever have before, and we have had way less rotten tomatoes, way less birds getting or bugs getting these tomatoes.
I think that vine ripened tomatoes are a scam. Like, I've never noticed, like, oh, let them sit here until they get, and it's like, they're not any better.
No.
Like,
so that's been very helpful as far as bug control and stuff like that. And then let's see other things. So we did beans and peas for the first time this year. I've never done those before.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to need a lot more upkeep and room and all this stuff. I thought I was going to have to trellis, and I guess I should have read like the varieties we got were bush beans, but I still thought I was going to have to trellis them or support them somehow. No, those suckers are fine. They are perfectly fine.
And we didn't get, that's another one where...
We didn't get enough of those,
Well,
actually.
we didn't get enough, and that's where the rain and lack of consistent heat, I think, has held us back. Normally,
a little bit.
Normally
and then
your beans and your peas want
I
a
will
little dry and
say
hot.
another lesson learned on those is that I'm going to stagger plant them. Like I'm going to do half the plants or maybe even thirds.
Are they like English peas or are they like field peas kind of thing, like black eyes and
Field
things?
peas. They're like, we have two kinds, but they're essentially both like purple hull peas.
Yeah, that's like that stuff does well here. A lot of those plants are actually indigenous to Africa, and there's a lot of literature about essentially them being sort of the seeds being hidden. Slaves would hide those indigenous plants on them and would plant them when they would get here.
Huh.
That's essentially how we get okra and a lot of our field peas and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Hey, it's been a while since we had a fun fact.
A fun fact, yeah.
Somebody's ready for a trivia night now.
But those have done really well. I have yet to really cook much with them, but we're keeping them.
Wait, also like only have enough for like 2 servings.
That's true. That's the other thing. We just didn't know with those. It's our first time planting them.
Those normally start like okra and a lot of your field peas. It needs more heat and less rain.
Yes.
So
and there's some sand out here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, those things do well in sandy soils.
Yeah, no, I think, and that's why like a lot of people I know, like Cy, who I work with, he's like, "You're getting purple holes," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, they're coming in, not in the yield that I'd want of them, but I am getting because
we got those early on. Oh yeah, no, they've been
we're
fine.
Just not,
and
but normally you would be getting bushels of them. We're not getting that, but and that's been the rain, and I don't think it's quite gotten hot enough. Like those plants are still producing. We may get more.
Yeah, they are
later on this summer, but so far we've been getting early yield out of that.
Yes, and then our beans looked good. But we just need more of those, and I do think I'm going to stagger plant them because we had like a lull, and now those are starting to produce again. So I want to like stagger them next time so it's more consistent. But the upkeep on those is like 0, and it's been very nice. Peppers are kind of the same story. Not enough heat right now.
Yeah.
Like there's plenty of peppers started, but they need heat to
And dry.
Yeah.
Well, and that's been a killer. Like, so
they almost need to be stressed.
Talk about the cost. I bought 4 red bell pepper plants because green bell. Look,
and that costs about the same as buying just like 4 red peppers from HEB.
yeah, I know. Well, and that's so. Look, I love Cajun food. I love Louisiana. Green bell pepper just doesn't do anything for me. In my Trinity, it's red bell pepper.
Yeah.
So I love, and Dylan loves red bell
He
pepper, and I eat red bell pepper on pretty much anything.
I could do an entire episode about how much I hate the green bell pepper.
I know. Look, greens just don't do it for me. They're a lot cheaper though.
Yeah.
But so, anyways, I was like, here, I'm gonna offset. It's like $1.50 for 1 red bell pepper. So let's plant a bunch of red bell pepper plants, and we have them, but
They have them. They just aren't maturing, I guess, is what you would
Yeah.
call it. Like they're all there, but it's like the plant I don't think is stressed enough yet. You know, peppers they need to be stressed at some point to mature the peppers, right? Am I
Well,
wrong
and
in
also
that?
like this is not the first complaint, or not necessarily complaint, but like this isn't the first time I've heard of a gardener being like, I can't get my peppers to turn red. I don't know. And I think that has a lot to do with like the billions of dollars that are spent on ensuring like GMO yields for like grocery store production or
Yeah.
whatever. Like that's like, you know, that sort of consistency is baked into that supply chain, and so they're
Yeah.
going to get that perfect stuff all the time.
And then our squash. This is my last thing. So we did yellow squash, spaghetti squash, and butternut squash. I do think that we did the correct amount of plants because I've had too many squash plants before.
Yeah.
So I think we did probably 3 yellow squash plants and probably 3 of everything, basically. And that's been good. Yellow squash has done well. The spaghetti squash, we haven't gotten one yet. They're taking longer. We do have some they're growing, but those are a bigger squash, so I think it's just taking longer. I am very pleasantly surprised with our butternut squash.
Yeah.
I would think that would be like a fall gourd.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's doing fine.
All right.
The one thing that maybe helps it is A, we've gotten a lot of rain. B, we really haven't gotten quite as hot as normal.
Oh, compared to this time last year, it's
Yeah.
it's mild.
Yeah.
And those we strategically planted more shady areas,
Yeah.
so they don't get quite as much. They get morning sun, but not afternoon sun.
Yeah, so we'll keep those going and see, because like you said, maybe that's what will speed up
Yeah.
our spaghetti squash. But the butternut squash has been perfectly fine. They're not as big as you see in the store, but they taste perfectly.
They're too big
Good.
in the store.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. But they taste good. We've had them, and as far as like the yield, I've been happy with that as well. It's not too many, but we could eat butternut squash once a week or so if we wanted. So that's been nice.
Did our eggplant not make it?
It has not flowered yet. Like they flower first and then they.
The European vegetables are like hard down
Yeah.
here because like peas peas, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, that kind of stuff is just almost impossible to grow in this climate.
Yeah. At our other place, we grew eggplant and we were successful with it. But this one, the plant is healthy. But to your point, maybe it's kind of going to be like a later summer type yield. So,
I'm
I think
really
that covers
bummed
everything.
my tomatillos haven't really come around. And they've tried. They've tried. They looked like they were going to die. And then they came back full force. And then I think we had a couple tomatillos on there. Because that was something
There's several
I'm not
on
used
there.
to cooking with, but I was really excited to.
They just don't
beyond
look
just
right.
salsa, like I wanted to cook with them.
Yeah. They just don't look right. They're not. They're another one that aren't quite maturing. So I'm going to have to read up on that and see what we should do.
You guys got any blossoms on the squash? You can eat those too.
Really?
Yeah, like a fried, like a tempura battered squash blossom.
Really?
Yeah, that's like
Okay.
go to a restaurant, a nice one, and they'll charge you $10 for it.
All right. Well, that's on your list to cook next week because we have plenty of those.
You have to show me how to do that, Aaron.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's a good transition. Let's talk recipes.
So what do we
and
do
stuff.
with our vegetables?
You wanted like a variety of or you're like, oh, this is good for like give me some ideas on what to do with these vegetables.
Yeah.
And
And even beyond some of the stuff we just
Yeah,
mentioned.
it doesn't have
other,
to stay
other
within.
common spring southern vegetables.
I ride for simply roasting my vegetables in the oven for like a number of reasons. One, I think it's like especially like if you're a gardener and you like put in all this work to grow these vegetables, then like preserve the flavor, like the natural flavor of those vegetables. Like eat them for like what they taste like. Like, you know, it's weird to me to spend all this time growing something to completely like mask like what it actually tastes like via your kitchen preparation or whatever. The other reason is you have a lot of hot, dry heat in the oven, and vegetables are full of water. Like they're like
That's
completely
true.
full of water. So boiling them or steaming them is just putting more water into them and like further
Diluting them.
those flavors, right? And then the dry heat will caramelize like any natural sugar in the thing, and that's just always delicious. That's just
Yes.
cooking. Caramelizing sugars, that's just cooking.
Yes.
What's your favorite spring vegetables to eat?
we got a lot of mileage out of squash and zucchini over this, just because they're good. They roast well and they taste good. In the summertime, I love roasted okra. I feel like that's a application that you don't see
usually
a lot.
Roast okra,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, I think a lot of people are weird about okra. They're like, oh, like it's slimy and stuff like that or whatever. But like stewing it with tomatoes is like a very traditional Southern thing, and that's fine. And frying it, it's delicious. I could eat it like popcorn that way. But just roasting it in the oven is it tastes like fried okra without.
Well, okra
being
has a
deep-fried.
great flavor.
It does. It absolutely
Yeah, on
does.
its
Yeah.
own, yeah.
Yeah.
On its own, without anything.
One thing with the squash, I think I texted you this. Have you ever made like zoodles with it?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this because I hate them.
Really?
Yeah. So my thing is I don't like I feel like a healthy recipe or something should be kind of built from the ground up or whatever.
All right.
Okay.
Taking something that's already good that everybody likes that's like unhealthy and trying to like make it healthy by doing something that drastic,
Reinventing the wheel.
like replacing pasta with like a vegetable is just not gonna yield like a enjoyable product. In
yeah,
my mind.
look, there have been times when we've bought store-bought, like already sliced up zucchini or whatever. I've never been a fan of that.
You mean the zoodles that you buy at the store?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But when we buy a straight-up zucchini and put it through the KitchenAid,
Yeah.
and we've only done this one way that I actually really enjoyed it. But what I made, so we put them through the KitchenAid, and I actually threw them in a skillet with a little bit of oil, and then I made pesto for it. And
Well, yeah. Well, that's just a salad at that point. That's
Yeah.
well,
that's
because
delicious.
you can eat them. We've eaten them cold, or I've nibbled on them cold. But putting the pesto in it, like I would not take zoodles and say like we're having spaghetti and meatballs, but it's
Yeah.
zucchini
Yeah.
noodles with marinara. But
Yeah.
if you like,
Which,
make-
like, if you do that, by the way, cool, and you enjoy it,
Yeah.
that's fine. But that is also like how most people. That's why they're called
Yeah.
zoodles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
yeah.
liked it though.
No, I did like it. Yeah, we've done it a couple of times, and I think you do it really well. The other thing I was going to say though is we did. I do. The one thing I like about being able to make our own zoodles is that because we've had them store bought a couple of times and meh, but doing them through our KitchenAid, we're able to
get thicker
make
ones.
them a little thicker because there's different.
You can get some texture in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have a little more bite and crunch to them, and that made it better.
Yeah, that's kind of the trick when you like cook them in the skillet because they taste. I like them better slightly cooked, but they still have to have that bite to them.
Yeah, that's
crunch.
the thing too, is that you can really cook them to
Yeah.
your desired,
I can make them my version of al dente.
That
Yes.
said, like that's not like I'm a big salad guy. Man, I feel like we've gotten a lot of mileage out of salads too,
Yes.
or whatever.
We eat like 5 salads a week.
Yeah.
It's there. You get a lot of variety of like flavor and texture, and it comes together super easy.
Exactly.
And then like, oh, I want protein, so you throw some chicken on there, and
There
it's
you
like,
go.
Yes.
boom.
Boom,
Yeah, it's
done.
great.
So yeah, we don't do the typical like zoodles with marinara or anything,
Yeah.
trying to make them spaghetti. But cooking them that way, it just does add a little variety. The other thing I was going to say is I made a zucchini lasagna one time that Brian
That
said
was
was better
freaking
than
good. I
regular
like vegetable
lasagna.
lasagna.
Hot take. I think that veggie lasagna is sometimes better than actual lasagna.
Oh, I do
A
too.
lot of times I think it is because it's not as heavy.
Yeah.
I do too. And so I made the
Italian people are like, oh my god.
I made the I guess you would still call them zoodles, but the what do you call the flat noodle?
Oh, like a lasagna noodle or
Yes.
like a
Is it just
Yeah,
called
it's like a lasagna noodle, yeah.
Okay, so I made the lasagna noodle. Brian's like,
No, I'm trying to think of what it's called.
I think technically it might be a lasagna sheet, but
oh, okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Probably,
A
yeah.
sheet. That's the word I'm looking for, I guess. So I made the zucchini lasagna sheets, and it was delicious.
Yeah,
It was
no,
really
it was,
good.
It was super good.
I made it several times.
There's
So
also it made me think of Italian people, and did you see? I think it was like Albanian fans. 'cause
Oh, breaking that spaghetti?
Oh,
Oh,
Italian
yeah. What are you doing?
that was great.
So, anyways, back to this. The other thing I did our butternut squash through our spiralizer because our spiralizer has like the different.
Yeah, do you
What's
have a
the ones-
KitchenAid?
I have a mix. I don't have that attachment, but yes, I have a KitchenAid mixer.
Okay,
It's
Of course you do. You
Yeah.
do all that baking.
yeah.
You
So
need to get the spiralizer.
the spiralizer comes with you can do like an extra fine, fine, and medium on all the different versions of spiralizing or sheets or whatever. Actually, I think the sheets is a separate one, but anyway, the potato twisters that you get at the fair.
yeah.
Okay, so it has that one too,
Oh.
and I did our butternut squash.
That's a
through
small
that.
business right
Yeah.
there. If you
I
got
know.
one of the.
But I tried our butternut squash through it, and then
We
air
did
fried
the
it.
butternut. You did like multiple different ways,
Yeah.
but the spiral that was the best.
Yeah. So, anyways, that kind of makes life fun too.
Ooh, I do have a. I feel like I have a cooking tip for this.
All right.
Yes,
I
please.
like if you have like butternut squash or sweet potatoes or like sweet
Yes.
starches, orange things with a lot of natural sugars, like anything
Right.
like that. It goes super well with like chipotle peppers, like sweet, like that sort of
Brian
Mexican,
would
that
be all about
smoky
that.
Mexican spice
Yeah.
thing, like
Yeah.
that. That
Sweet
works pretty
potato
good.
pie with chipotle.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds really good.
Just maybe no marshmallows.
Yeah, or carrots. I do like
I
a.
love carrots.
I make like a chipotle glaze with like honey and canned chipotles and like brush it some vinegar and brush it on carrots like while I'm grilling them. or
No,
whatever.
that's good. We
It's really
usually put
Yeah.
like a Cajun seasoning on them to kind of give
I
them
do.
that bite, but that would be
Yeah.
a lot better.
Yeah. No, I like that idea. I like the idea of a glaze over them.
Yeah, and then once again,
Yeah.
oven roasting.
So,
oh.
no, I was just
Go
gonna say we do carrots, and every time that we eat them, I'm like, this needs to be more regular on
It's not
our
the fall.
list
Yeah.
than it is. They are so hearty.
Yeah.
3 carrots is enough to feed like our entire family the way I cut them and eat them.
Yeah, there's a reason that like all these like immigrant stew recipes are just like all potatoes and carrots
Yeah.
and like
Fills you up.
Yeah,
it's like a little bit of the worst cut of beef possible.
What were you gonna say?
yeah.
Yeah, I think also people sleep on. I guess this is a clean eating thing. I don't know if
Yeah.
we're transitioning or whatever, but like, I don't. I like people work and they compartmentalize whatever time is cool for them to prepare dinner, or
Right.
like, you know what I mean? But I think there are like some extra steps that you can do to just kind of make your food that much better. I feel like a lot of people sleep on like the dried chili section, like at the produce at HEB.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
like the
I do that.
there's
so
like the kiosk of the
Yeah, I know
like,
what you're talking about.
shriveled up chilies and weird stuff. Like that stuff is so good. Like I just buy those. And if you get like the cheapest coffee grinder, you know those like cylinders where you
Yeah.
press on the lid and it grinds it. Don't grind your coffee in that. Will make bad coffee. But it is really good for grinding spices. So
What do
don't
you
have to sit
grind your
there.
coffee in? Because I have one of those.
Oh, I have a fancy Italian. I've like it's like a Ferrari of coffee grinders. It's
You have to tell me that.
that I never use because we have a coffee shop now and I just go there. But,
So I use the like press one that you're talking about, but I was for a long time hand grinding it.
do that.
she
Just
got
takes
tired
a
of
long
it.
time.
Yeah, if you can handle it. No pun intended.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
But okay, so you put those dried peppers.
Yeah, I toast them. I don't buy chili powder anymore because I just
Okay.
because one, you buy like the whole thing of chili powder. Who knows how often you use it? The longer a spice sits, the worse it
The
gets.
worse it gets, yeah.
You can buy whole spices and they stay better for longer or whatever. Like
Okay.
I know that the little jar of nutmeg or whatever is like $15, but it's gonna last you like 30 years probably if you with the thing.
Yeah, but the amount of nutmeg you use.
And also they have it in bulk at HEB right now, and it's like way cheaper if you all the bulk spices. If you
Okay.
can get them in bulk, they're like way cheaper.
Interesting.
The
Because
longer
we
you
do
keep
have
them
that
whole.
grinder. We could just
Yeah.
repurpose that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then you can
Apparently-
toast them before you use them, and so they
I
then
feel like
grind
that
it
would
fresh.
also help you using like less salt because a lot of people are using like seasoning salts to
Yeah.
get those
To
spices
get
and
that-
stuff. But then you could just put the spice in.
So I got really into Mexican cooking a year ago or whatever, and I was talking to my Mexican buddy because it's Texas and we all have a lot of those, and I was like, man, like I don't like. There's not enough salt, and like none of these recipes like call for enough salt. And he's like, well, yeah, it's because we use like a ton of spices or whatever. And I was like, that tracks. It still needs more salt though.
No, look. We're American, so we have to have salt. It's like a prerequisite.
Yeah.
But I really try like when I was clean eating, like okay, I will season the meat or whatever with whatever amount of salt feels appropriate. But after that, any type of like garnish or anything I'm doing with it, no salt. Like everything needs to be just as much spice. But I wasn't using the fresh spices like that, so I think that I might need even less
Yeah.
salt if I was doing that route.
You'll save money this way. The spices, it'll be better or whatever, you know. And I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't, especially with the chilies and stuff. There's
Yeah.
like,
Well, the other thing, like you're describing, it doesn't even take that long. Like,
no, it does. Like you might add like a total of like 10 extra minutes to like your dinner prep
Yeah.
or whatever. Which stovetop on the skillet is usually like the
Oh,
best
okay.
way. Like,
Gotcha. In a skillet.
yeah,
Okay.
because like spices are full of oils. That's what makes them like aromatic and
Yeah.
good. And so anything like that can just. I mean, if you look away for a second, it'll burn. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no joke.
Gotcha.
So, okay. Oh, let me ask you this before we go straight to clean eating. Any other like kind of off the beaten path things you like to do with vegetables or any specific vegetables springtime, like spring, summer that you like to eat?
We eat a lot of pickles. There's a lot of ways to, especially with a eye towards health or whatever. There's a lot of ways to add flavor to food without adding extra calories that I think that people miss or like, you know, some of it is kind of time intensive or whatever. But you know, making your own pickles, quick pickles or
Yes.
refrigerator pickles,
Yeah.
or fermentation. They're all sort of three sides of the same
Well,
coin
pickles
or
are
whatever.
another hard one because how much salt are you using? On a quick pickle, I don't use hardly any salt.
I mean, I don't want to go into like the full. I'm going to use salt. Like I am going to use salt. Like
Yeah.
it's hot in the summer. Like I work out. I need my body to hold as much water
Yeah.
as it can. So like I'm not really. The FDA says I did the math on this because I was looking at nutrition facts or
Yeah.
whatever. You can have 2 grams of salt a day, which is that's the daily recommended amount. That I don't know if I get more or less than that, if I'm being honest. Like it takes a lot of salt to get to like 2 grams.
Yeah.
How many pickles are you eating? Because I'll eat a whole jar of pickles.
So my wife is she's on a pickle kick right now, so she's eating like a ton of pickles. I was eating a lot of pickles, but it's like off and on. You know what I mean? Like I'm not eating a ton of pickles right now.
Mostly like jarred or quick pickle.
Jarred. I'm a Clausen guy. Like I go for those. But she was like, "Can you make some pickles?" So I made a batch of pickles the other day.
So we were at the lake this weekend for Father's Day, and the people. And the more I've thought about this, the more I've come around to where they were. But the group that was across from us was probably 3 campers worth of people. So like I don't know, like six adults running around. They jarred. Like they had a
toy hauler and the entire back was full of
I kid you not,
jars.
300 jars.
Were they selling pickles at the lake?
No, this is where they like do it and stock up for the
and they said it's like a tradition for them, and they were like, this was so here's where all of us laughed at first. Like they said, we used to hate camping, but now we do this. And I mean, they were going from like 6 a.m. till I don't know, 9 p.m. at night.
They wore
all
me
day.
out watching them.
Yeah, and I mean just cleaning them, canning them.
Oh, what? They went to the lake and did their like
they
commercial
had a whole
pickle.
setup.
They brought their entire like, and it,
they got a boiler out, and I was like, oh, they're doing crawfish.
Yeah.
Nope.
What a weird. Let's go to the lake this weekend and
where it's
make some
hot
pickles.
already. Yeah.
Did Brian text you about the salsa we found at HEB?
I don't think so.
It's like a style of salsa. Have you heard of? I guess
escabeche. Yeah. It's great. It's like pickles.
Yes.
Yeah.
The base of it is all pickled.
I want to say that just means like in Spanish. That's just pickle in Spanish.
Probably so, but it's delicious.
Yeah, no. So I've never made. Have you ever made it that way?
Carrots make great pickles.
Yeah,
I do. I do a thing. They call it a curtido, but it's like onions, jalapenos, cabbage. Carrot, I think. And you shred it all up, and I put it in a big crock with. I apologize for an amount of salt. Something probably like I think 4% of the entire weight of the vegetables in salted water, and I seal it up. And I sit it at room temperature on my counter for like 4 days, and it just like ferments and pickles and bubbles and stuff.
Sounds amazing.
And then it's delicious. It's so. Yeah. Well, and that was another thing I was getting at. Adding flavor without adding calories. Fermentation, pickling, things like that. Things that, like, I think we hear a lot of these old world stories of this is like a way to preserve this stuff. And so you think like, oh, this is going to take a long time, whatever. Like, no, it takes like 4 days. Don't touch it. Maybe pop the lid every now and then just to let some of the air out or whatever. But it's so passive and easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
just have to know how to do it.
And I think with tomatoes, too, we talked about this before. But, like, I said don't process them too much, but like if the flavors exist in them, like they just need a little help, sometimes. So like maybe you want them to be sweeter or whatever, or more acidic, like add some vinegar and some honey and some salt and put them in there and let that hang out in your fridge overnight. And then you have sweeter, more acidic, because you're replacing some of that water that's in the tomato with something that actually tastes like something.
Yeah.
And then that liquid, and this is how they get you at like fancy restaurants, right? Like, so now you have this liquid, you have this like sweet, acidic, umami-rich, tomatoey liquid that you could add to salad dressings or serve on the top of other tomatoes, or you make a vinaigrette out of it or whatever. And that's like, oh boy, you call that like a tomato vinegar or whatever, and it's really sounds fancy.
Whatever the bougie word for it is.
Like fresh sliced Cherokee purples with umami vinaigrette.
That's true though.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah,
I do too.
Do that to your tomatoes.
All right, so we've gotten through some veggies and everything. All right, I know. Let me ask you this before we go straight into it, because you're also a big bread. You bake a lot of bread, right?
I aspire to. I was making a sourdough starter. I could tell you like all the health benefits of like sourdough bread and things like that.
So
but yeah.
Darcy's real into sourdough, and then our oven died, so the sourdough starter has fallen off, and we need to start it back up again. But
I thoroughly enjoyed it though.
I have not researched because I don't do any of the baking, but sourdough bread's like better to eat than anything we buy from the store, right?
Yeah,
I mean, wrong there?
generally, like just at the end of the day, whether it's good for you or not good for you, fresh bread is just better.
Yeah.
It just absolutely is. And we all like soft white bread from the store or whatever. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, chemicals are bad for you, don't eat that or whatever. But like the reason it is so white and fluffy and never goes bad is because it does have all that crap in it, and it's
Yeah.
like full of sugar.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's why when you're like, oh man, I can't believe a slice of bread is 150 calories, and it's like, yeah, that's tons of sugar in it. You know.
Yeah.
But
It's totally
you baked
different.
bread, though, right?
Yes, I don't want to say no. I've like failed at baking bread. I've been moderately successful.
I thought you told me. I thought you were into baking bread right now.
I have a very good friend. You might have been
that's what it
talking to
was.
Josh at my wedding, who is very into baking bread.
Darcy makes good sourdough. We've made sourdough biscuits
Yeah.
and sourdough bread. You had a good.
It wasn't
run
as
going.
difficult as I
No.
thought, and there is such a huge difference between the density, flavor, just
Yeah.
overall taste of bread. It does
You don't
show
even need
you,
anything. You just eat
No.
the bread.
but it does also show you like how bread has transformed over time. Like a loaf
Yeah.
of bread from the store has transformed over time, which, you know,
Yeah.
it's so like, I don't know if aerated is also the correct word, and
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's so soft and
Yeah. You
I don't know.
control
It's-
like the hydration of the dough or whatever. Like so
Yes.
the more water you put into it, the more water is there to turn to steam when it goes in the oven,
Mm-hmm.
which creates like air bubbles and crumb when it bakes and all that.
right.
jazz.
But the sourdough, while I was doing it, it was easy. The recipes were easy. It was all, basically you keep 3 things on hand, and you
Yeah.
can at any, given day make basically any bread recipe.
Yeah.
it's,
So do
it's
you
not
have
complicated.
a sourdough starter right now?
I was doing such a good job and I had it and I was like I wasn't feeding it.
They're like chia pets.
Yeah. Well, and also like
Grown up.
my thought about fermentation a lot of times is because they were like the guide I was using was like, you need to watch this and judge this and use a rubber band to mark this height or whatever. And it's like, I'm a seasoned fermentation advocate. Seasoned fermenter, and it's like I have had the greatest success when I just like forget
Eyeball
that this
things.
exists or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
It's not as, I feel anyways, that it's not as scientific as it's advertised.
They like want to make it that way, you know.
You
what
just
I mean?
have to, I think you just have to know. I saw this one time and I agree with it. The reason that they say that like baking is more of a science is because you do have to get the right texture, but if you get familiar with what the right texture is supposed to be,
Sure.
then it's not science.
Yeah.
You can just look at it and tell what you need more of.
Get a scale. I would
Yeah.
say get a scale so you have a baseline or whatever, and then like all that's depend like the relative humidity of your home
Yes.
is like a factor that's insane. But
Yeah.
no, my sourdough starter, I had it almost ready to go, and it grew mold in like 2 hours, and
You can scrape that off and keep going.
yeah, I know. I'm just gonna start from scratch. The health benefits of sourdough bread, though, especially if you make your own, is especially if you're using like unbleached whole wheat flour. The
Yes.
more unprocessed flour
Right.
Yeah.
you use, and you can do whatever you want. You don't have to use that or not.
Yeah.
But I would stick with like an unbleached bread flour at the very least. It's got a lower glycemic index, which means it won't spike your blood sugar.
Oh, okay.
It's a more complex carbohydrate that's going to give your body more time to break it down.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's not just going to all go at
Release
once
it
and then
once,
you
yeah.
get a big blood sugar spike. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it wasn't as complicated as I thought, and it tasted very good. And you can, one quick tip that I learned, I think I'm right in this. Once you kind of have it going and you have it active and healthy, for lack of a better term, you can decrease the amount that you have to feed it by putting it in the fridge.
Yes, that is true. It can live in suspended animation in your fridge.
Ooh, there you go,
Yeah.
suspended animation.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron. So everyone's been waiting to know, how am I going to drop 80 pounds in 8 months? What's your keys to success? Tell me your story.
I would eat like you're diabetic, even if you're not diabetic.
Interesting.
Eat,
All right.
eat like you're diabetic.
That's probably actually a good idea for all of us.
Yeah, no, I think that's like pretty much like what like, okay, if diabetes is like generally caused by fast foods and the society that we live in, where like no one, when the cure for diabetes is just like, oh, like how you're supposed to eat, essentially,
Yeah.
right? So like, eat like you're diabetic. Obviously, at the end of the day, calories, if you burn more calories than you eat, you will lose weight. You can eat 1,500 calories worth of chocolate if you want. You'll probably lose weight and get diabetes, but like, yeah, no, that's kind of the key.
Yeah.
I would say get your omega-3s, eat some, fatty fish.
So what did you replace? What were big replacements you put in your diet
Thank
help?
you for guiding me here. Yes, this is what I should have been talking about. Greek yogurt, 0% fat Greek yogurt, like, is your friend. At this point, there's like a few things, but I don't think that in like general culinary applications, I have not found much that like Greek yogurt, like there's not much that mayonnaise can do that Greek yogurt can't do.
Oh, no, I know.
Yeah.
Or sour cream or anything
sour
like
cream.
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe don't. I wouldn't go as far as like spreading it on a piece of bread and putting some turkey on there, but like pretty much almost like salad dressing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It might be okay.
Yeah.
I've never tried it.
I make a chicken salad that's just like what I eat for lunch every day. That's mostly I put like a tablespoon of mayonnaise, and this lasts me the whole week or whatever. So I
Yeah.
put like a tablespoon of mayonnaise in it just to feel like
Just so you
like,
can mentally.
oh yeah,
know
like
that
it's
there's
for
mayonnaise in it.
creaminess or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's mostly like Greek yogurt and stuff.
All right,
And,
so
Do you
Greek
use
yogurt.
plain Greek yogurt most of the time?
I do. I like to I'll even buy plain and then like make my own. Like I get that like monk fruit sugar stuff.
Oh yeah.
The 0 calorie, and I feel like, I don't know, there's probably a lot of people that are like, well, you don't know if that's good for you either, blah blah. But like, I'm going like, well, it seems fine. It doesn't
It's out of a
spike
fruit, so
Yeah, it doesn't spike your blood sugar. We know that that's true. So I'll like add that to plain yogurt with
Yeah.
some vanilla extract if I want
Yep.
like vanilla or whatever. But yeah,
Because that's what I was going to say. I've made a chicken salad with Greek yogurt before, and I actually find that I like using a vanilla Greek yogurt to make that.
this is wild. All right, that's cool.
I don't know.
I mean, no, I'm not. I would.
it tastes good.
Okay, I'm like
Because-
scared to try it, but
Well, because
whatever.
the other things that you add to it are going
Yeah.
to tip the scale
Yeah.
away from it being too sweet, I feel
Yeah.
like. So,
It's interesting. I like it though.
yeah.
Yeah, I would.
So,
I don't know. There's not. I mean, another thing about this too is like you can't be picky. Like my mom asked me the other day if I like bananas, and I don't like love banana. I don't mind how they taste. It's weird. It's one of my few texture things. Like I don't love banana, but I was like, it does not matter if I like a food or not. Like honestly, like if it's like. If they're like this, like, if you have a problem and they're like, this food is medicine, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, yeah, whatever. I'll just,
That's-
that's
that's-
I don't
fine.
like
true.
Robitussin either, but when I got a cough,
Yeah.
I take it.
Yeah, exactly. It's that. Yeah, for sure. Right.
It's a good point.
I
the
also
same thing.
I didn't know like
Hey,
I
there's your quote for the week.
yeah.
I eat sardines, which I think is kind of a
Really?
thing. But like, yeah, I mean, everybody's like, ew, sardines. I don't know. I saw my grandpa do it or whatever. It's like they're good if you get the good
If you
kind.
get a
they're
quality
good.
kind,
yeah,
yeah.
like people weren't eating things that tasted bad. Like, you know what I mean?
That's
Like,
true.
So you supplemented a lot of Greek yogurt, omega-3s. I personally, and this kind of went back to our seasonal talking, I started adding up how many like carbs less starches I was
Yeah.
eating during a
Yeah.
day, and like before. So going back to Lent, I was making. For my meals, I would have like a breakfast taco, and I would make it myself. But so then I've got like potatoes on tortillas, and I would eat one, sometimes two of those, and so that was a lot already. And then for lunch, if you were eating any form of like a sandwich or anything, now you've got, especially if you bought it and it wasn't sourdough,
Yeah.
now you've got all the sugars in the French loaf bread or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
you were eating. I would eat like a sub sandwich or something. And then did you eat chips with that sandwich? And then by the time you get home, hey, let's eat something else. And did that have like a form of
Yeah, a
potato?
rice or potato
Yeah,
or
rice or
something.
a potato or a noodle. And I
Yeah.
was like, there's nothing wrong with eating that stuff, but it's all in moderation. And I think we lose track of like how much of one type of food that we're eating. And so that was where like I found zoodles. I started looking for like, hey, it's not that I want to replace pasta, but if I've eaten my
Yeah, yeah.
allotment of starch/carbs, like maybe I need to find another way to eat.
No, I mean, a lot of that stuff can be, when I first started this, I was like kind of scared of carbs. Like I was like, oh, like carbs are like what got me here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I almost like, I ate like extremely low carb and basically like no simple carbs
Yeah.
if I would have them. But then I got to a place where I was like, okay, I can be more. So 45 to 60 grams of carbs per meal, which is like a lot.
That's
Actually.
Decent amount.
Especially if you go like a week if you're just like, okay, extremely low or no carbs for a week, when you get that to that, you're like, oh, this is
I'm okay.
fine.
this is totally fine.
So maybe that's the trick. Starve
Yeah.
yourself for a week out of all the carbs, and then when you go to the proper amount, you're like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah, that's a ton. I mean, like carbs are one of those ones that's like, the package will tell you how much of it you're supposed to eat. Like it's
Yes.
not.
I know, but then
it's
it's
not a
always-
secret.
But then you find out like, hey, 2.5 Pringles is a serving, and you're like,
yeah, go with the. I go to get the like the concession stand pack of like baked Lay's or whatever. And that's pretty cool because like then it's just the bag.
Yeah.
Like, you just eat what's in the bag.
No,
Yeah.
I did that for lunch. I would
Yeah.
find like the single serving amount, and it
Mm-hmm.
never felt like it. I did that with nuts too. That was actually
Yeah.
The
a
100
big one
calorie
for me.
packs
Yeah,
or
I would do
whatever.
like the 100 calorie packs
Yeah.
of like cashews and stuff, and I would put those. So I started eating a salad at
Yeah.
lunch, so that then I had more allotment for breakfast and dinner.
Mm-hmm.
But I would put like 100 calorie pack of cashews and
Yeah.
stuff in there, and that really and it was surprising how filling. Once
Yeah.
you got used to it, like how filling that actually.
You almost
was.
just have to wait a little bit and let your body catch up.
Yeah,
and tell
between
you
that
you're
and
full.
like actually drinking a bottle of like the things your parents always told you to do, like drink water before you eat and after, and then tell me if you're full.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
pick up
popcorn. Popcorn's a big secret. Like the
Yeah,
the boom. I like don't even really count that sometimes. That's just like whatever. Like it's like use 150 calories and like 4 cups of popcorn. Like the way that these things sort of work too is like I think the term is gamifying it or whatever.
okay.
So I mean, if you've got an Apple Watch and you pay attention, you close people. Oh, I got to close
Close
my
your
rings or
rings,
whatever.
Yes.
So that's gamifying like your fitness or whatever. And when I first started this, I was like, this is dumb. I'm not gonna do that. But then I kind of like started doing it. It's like, okay, I'm one of those people. But then I just sort of did the same thing with nutrition or whatever. So I have a calorie budget, so it's like, cool, I got to eat that much a day.
Yeah,
I need 3 to 4 cups of non-starchy vegetables. I'm sorry, folks, but a potato's not a vegetable. It just isn't. 3 to 4 cups of non-starchy vegetables a day. So I try to get that. 3 servings of fruit a day, and it's a game. And I just like hit my
that's a
my
really good
points,
idea. I might have to start doing that.
45 to 60 grams of carbs.
Did you come up with it yourself, or
No, I met with a nutritionist.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
cool.
I got
Nice.
to. Yeah.
was it? Did they like put you on an app, or did they just give you your own specific?
Yeah, so basically it's a prize you win if you get diabetes. They're like, you get to go to a nutritionist.
Right.
Yeah. So
I use and I haven't been recently, but I keep it on my phone, and whenever I do get serious, I use it. My Fitness Pal, the app
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And that one, it will do kind of the same thing. You can log your meals, and a lot of it, like if you have a snack that you eat, you can like scan the snack, and it will upload all the.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. So it makes it really easy, or you can manually input what you're eating.
So 3 to 4 cups of non-starchy vegetables
a day. Yeah, and that does sound like a lot, but a can of V8, folks, is 2 servings of vegetables in a can, so you can chug one of those.
And for fruit too. That's way more fruit than I normally get in a day, I think.
Yeah, you got to keep it. I keep berries, like a tub of mixed berries in the fridge on hand, which I do add some sugar to, some refined white sugar. I think in 2 pounds of fruit, I do about 20 grams of sugar, which is more than enough to macerate the fruit so that the juices come out and they just sort of swim in their own natural syrup. And then over the course of a week, though, that's like less than 5 grams of sugar per serving or whatever. And that's something that
And if
everybody's
that
completely
takes care
fine
of
with.
your sweet tooth and you're not pining for something else, then it's also worth it.
Exactly. And the
Yeah.
FDA or whatever, all those people that determine the daily values, says you can have 80 grams of sugar a day, which is absurd to me.
Well, but also look at if you have 1 Dr. Pepper, which I
Yeah.
bet. Look how much sugar's in that.
yeah.
Like,
2 grams of salt, 80 grams of sugar. What?
yeah.
I don't know. But, so I do that. I'm a big citrus fruit guy, so I'm eating, mandarins. If you just have it at your house, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's not super duper hard. You just have to
Starts at the grocery store.
it starts at the grocery store. You just
Starts
have
in
to
the
be,
garden.
Yeah, that too.
and I can get. I mean, like I think like a national problem in this country is that it is cheaper to eat bad,
Unhealthy.
Oh, yeah.
unhealthy than it is
yeah.
to eat healthy.
Yeah.
Like it isn't just like okay.
No, we
we're-
complain about our grocery bill, but there's a lot we could do to get by, but it would not be
Yeah.
get by cheaper, but it would not be healthy.
We spend 20 minutes. We go grocery shopping. If we're there an hour, we're spending like at least half the time. I'm trying to get plastic
Coupons.
bags like unstuck apart so
You're
I can put
the
vegetables
you're
in
the
there.
person
Produce
that
guy.
the checker hates. They're like, oh, this guy again. It's gonna really. They track their items per minute. How many they scan.
It takes like 30 minutes to check out.
Yeah. What's the number for dragon fruit?
Yeah. Folks, take a chance on the weird vegetables. You got to keep it, people get tired of eating the same things all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
roasting your vegetables is the secret to doing this. Take a chance on the weird vegetables.
What's a weird
like,
what's a vegetable you weren't used to eating
Or fruit.
that you just tried? Or a fruit.
I wish we had more exotic fruits. I do complain about this. So I was I got excited because it's stone fruit season. I went in the HB the other week. I was like, the peaches have arrived.
The peaches have arrived.
And cherries. I make an eggplant thing. I wasn't like a stranger to eggplant, but it wasn't like it wasn't something that I had
Yeah.
like super common, but I do an eggplant thing now once a week. I roast some eggplant with
Yeah.
cherry tomatoes, throw a little parm.
When we
on
went
there.
to Muse in Houston
Yeah.
last year, they did an eggplant almost like a steak.
Yeah.
And once again, most of us have had eggplant parm,
Yeah.
fried and everything, and that's delicious. I love that. But I really remember how blown away we were by it.
Yeah,
Because
it was
like
good.
a thicker slice than normal of eggplant, and they grilled it and
Yeah.
roasted it. It was
Brian,
delicious.
I really thought you were going to talk about my eggplant parm that I made the other day.
Yours was really good, actually.
Yeah.
Throw myself under the bus.
But I
yeah.
do like
Yeah.
a bake of that. Like I cut that up with tomatoes and I just like roast it, and you garlic and whatever. You're like Italian or whatever.
Yes.
Spices. I roast that and throw some parm on it, and then all that eggplant juice and the cheese turns into this like creamy
Yeah.
thing, and then it's
Do you like artichokes?
deconstructed eggplant. I like artichokes. I don't want to. They're like a pain in the butt to eat. Like I will get an artichoke at a restaurant, but like I'm not doing
Not
that
doing it
at
yourself.
home. Yeah. It's like I gotta eat those. Then you
love
throw
artichokes.
away half of it.
Yeah.
You know.
It's good.
Yeah. No. No disrespect to artichokes or people from northern Italy.
You said get weird with vegetables.
No, I mean, I don't think it's that weird. RHEB I'm a little upset. I want weirder stuff. Like I've eaten my way through most of HEB.
Y'all need new produce. I'm done with this.
Yeah. Can we get a little more exotic produce
What
in here?
was I want to say it was a fruit that you said was only in season for a short time that you loved.
Oh, great. I'm going to put this. I'm letting everybody in on the secret. No, they're called Kishu mangoes. You
Well,
should
but
Google
if,
them.
if everybody
Oh, not
doesn't-
mangoes, mandarins.
Okay.
Kishu
If
mandarins.
everybody gets them, though, they'll keep a better stock maybe.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know how to tell you this, people. I'm about to change your life. These are the best fruit. They're better than any candy. I would have said this if I would have had these things 10 years ago. I would have said this. They're so good. They're tiny. You should Google them. They're really hard to grow and have like a really short growing season. But I saw them this year in stores, and they're just they're tiny little mandarins. Tiny little mandarins, not mangoes, mandarins, and they're so good. And you peel them, and you can just put the whole thing in your mouth and eat them in one. You've seen cuties; those aren't that cute. These are cute.
You heard it here
You
first.
heard it first. Yes.
Yeah.
Kishu mangoes.
I was
No,
driving
Kishu mandarins.
when
Wow.
RHEB ran out of them. I was driving to Central Market in Houston once a week to buy like 8 pounds.
Between the gas and how much they cost, you were spending like $40 for these things.
I know, but it was in the name of my health.
Yeah. You could have just got sour worms, man.
Yeah. I guess, and also I don't know if we were talking about eating clean or whatever, but just some tips about eating clean, whatever that means, because it's like
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
we're super clear
Ambiguous
Right.
term.
on what that means or whatever, but don't avoid convenience foods. I mean, if it buy fresh and process yourself if you can. Just because a good rule for cooking, whether you're cooking to make something delicious as it can possibly be or to make it as healthy as it can possibly be, it's always a good rule of thumb to just control all the spices yourself. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Well, that was one of the things I did. I even, like, if we were having spaghetti, I made the whole sauce.
Yeah.
Because then I was in control of how much sugar was going
Yeah.
into it, how much salt was going into
I mean,
it.
obviously things like canned tomatoes are fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you can't get it for, like, I buy all my corn frozen because one, I'm not cutting it off a cob. I'm sorry. That takes. I'm
You draw
bad.
the line.
I'm going to cut my finger off. It's like a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
We tried to grow our own corn for that, and the squirrels got it all.
Yeah.
So.
But if you're going to eat it off the cob, by all means, like buy it fresh or whatever. But avoid avoid cream of chicken soup. It's just like weird salty jelly with
It is.
maybe it has chicken in it. Like I don't know.
Or if you have a problem with that, just watch how it's made, and then you won't buy it anymore.
Just if it's like a recipe in a church cookbook from the 60s, like don't make it.
Remember when we flipped through that one and I was telling you all the different recipes that church cookbook before, and you were like,
Louisiana
"Ugh."
church cookbook, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not. No one is saying that it isn't good. All
No,
right.
Oh
It's
Like,
no!
all
It,
good.
yeah, it all tastes good, but it was like I'm gonna have a heart attack.
Yeah.
But I bet you can make it better at home when you don't have to rely on Campbell's to put all the salt in it.
Yeah,
you know
that's true.
One last thing before we transition out, mushrooms. Where do you stand on those?
Big mushroom guy. Big fun guy.
That was so.
See what you
If
did
y'all
there.
could see his face too when he did that,
He was very proud of that one.
Yeah. I found when I was talking like my breakfast omelet tacos or whatever, I replaced potatoes with
Yes.
mushrooms. And
He made breakfast tacos this morning, and I almost told you that this morning. I missed the mushrooms.
yeah, because we didn't go to the store, so I don't have mushrooms, and so I'm using potatoes.
Yeah.
And it's fine, but it's ironic. Like mushrooms, we love mushrooms
Oh, yeah.
because they absorb.
They
the
soak
flavor
up all
and
the
everything
flavor.
else.
Yeah.
And so you've got this little flavor punch. Like if you're,
Yeah.
I will tell you this: if you grew up and said like, "Ugh, I don't want mushrooms. I don't want it's fungus or whatever," try them again. Try them again. They are
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah.
They're packed with vitamins, and they're just great.
I,
and they're
uh,
filling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I buy
they're
the
hearty,
big
good
portobello
protein.
caps sometimes,
Yes.
or even the medium ones. I just put them on the grill with chicken or whatever, and they're like they're all for me because Rachel doesn't eat them. But yeah,
That's
Missing
sad.
out.
but I'll eat like 10 mushrooms. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we have given you, if not some thoughts, tips, ideas, at least maybe it was entertaining.
Our bodies are temples. We have to take care of them
Yes, and that is true. I'm
for multiple reasons.
yes. My big stumbling block is Dr. Pepper, and I try to abstain myself from that as much as possible. But really, when you think, if you just read the back of the bottles and stuff, and try to let that scare you into it, maybe a little bit. That's what I try to do sometimes.
Eat more fish, people. Eat more fish.
That's true
Yes.
too.
And that's we really probably back in the day, that was one of the things like for Catholics, you just ate fish every Friday regardless. It wasn't like a Lent thing. And you and I talked about this, like we should really try to just implement, like at least just make one day like, hey, this is going to be a fish day for us no matter what, and try to abstain from like all the red meats and stuff like that. Really helpful. But anyways, any of this stuff, hopefully it was, if not enlightening, at least entertaining. And so next week we are going to be reading or recapping The Great Divorce, C.S. Lewis. Great read. So I hear. I have not read it yet. Hopefully you have,
You have a week.
your copy. Yeah, it's like 150 pages. It's not that big a deal. So we can all do that. Everyone, thank Aaron for coming back,
Yes.
shedding some hard truths with us.
Well, also some good tips.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yes, me
Yeah,
too.
This is super fun.
The next time he comes in, we may have to do, like I was telling him, I think a team, how to build the proper team. We'll put our GM hats on. Darcy has ideas, I think. Maybe closer to football season when we're building our fantasy teams.
I think there's probably some allegory there that you could tie into Christian teachings
I think
or
so
something
too.
Oh, I
like
think
that.
so
That's
too.
not
I
a
don't think
hard
it's that
reach.
hard of a stretch.
Yeah.
I think we
No,
can get
it's
there.
not.
If not, we can maybe make it fun. But thank you, Aaron, for coming back. One of my
Yes,
best friends
thank you.
since 5th grade, Mr. Boobin's science class. So, yeah, hopefully you guys got something out of this. But as we have unpacked whatever clean eating is, whatever gardening is.
Summer garden and recipes. That's our title, probably.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, whatever Darcy decides to come up with.
Please write in too if we weren't. I know that we didn't specifically share any recipes, amounts and whatnot. Feel free to write in.
Yeah, no, we're
Yeah.
gonna have some discuss with us posts on this, and
Yeah.
any recipes we missed or any ideas you have that can help us all trim down, because it's beach season, everybody. And
I put on a swimsuit last weekend, and I was not pleased. So
I need it to be
we're
white boy
whipping it
summer,
into shape.
so gotta start getting it out. Got my ankle socks on, so everyone knows I'm a millennial.
Same.
No tan lines here. But anyways, as we have unpacked all of that, you go discuss.